What do Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, and Dolly Parton have in common? One road, one state, and we're driving it. Road tripping through Tennessee to visit some of the most iconic places in music history. We're Ryan and Manuel, and welcome to Tennessee.
Our first stop is the small town of Sevierville, a short drive north from one of Tennessee's main attractions, Smoky Mountains National Park, which is a must-do.
If you are a Dolly Parton fan, you can't miss these first few stops on our list. Sevierville is Dolly Parton's hometown, and it's here that you can find her bronze statue, a tribute by her hometown community made by a local artist in 1987, in front of the town's courthouse. We loved learning that Dolly's proud father is said to have cleaned the statue every night with a bucket of soapy water he kept at the back of his truck.
A short walking distance from here, you can see the beautiful mural of the former Red's Cafe, one of Dolly Parton's favorite eateries. The Wings of Wonder mural, which references her song Love is Like a Butterfly, and the site of the Pines Theatre, where she had her first paid gig.
Not far from here, in Locust Ridge, is her Tennessee mountain home, where she lived humbly with her 11 siblings and parents. A replica of the cabin can be found at Dolly's theme park, Dollywood, only a 20-minute drive from Sevierville. We had an absolute blast exploring Dollywood, and we absolutely loved its setting, surrounded by the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee that are such a big part of her life. Besides some of the best thrill rides we have ever done, we also loved to see the Dolly Parton Experience, which hosts a beautiful interactive exhibit with everything from her childhood to her stardom and her famous tour bus, where you can hop on board and experience her home on wheels, which was actually one of our highlights.
And right next to the park, in the beautiful Dreammore Resort, you can even spend a couple of nights in another of her tour buses, the Suite 1986. But our favorite thing to do in this hotel was to see the Dream Box, a time capsule made of chestnut wood containing an unreleased song titled My Place in History, which will be opened on Dolly Parton's 100th birthday in 2046.
And for our final Dolly-related stop, we of course had to visit the town of Pigeon Forge that she helped become one of the biggest tourist hotspots in the US, with the opening of Dollywood, the Dolly Parton Stampede, and her constant support to the community. Pigeon Forge is quirky and fun, and we love to see all the unique museums and dining shows, but also visiting the old mill district, a historic grist mill that now hosts a variety of shops and food options.
But with so many more music stops awaiting us, it was now time to drive to our next location, Nashville, which is only a 3 hours and 45 minutes drive from the Smoky Mountains.
Also known as Music City, USA, there really is no other city on earth like Nashville. Not only is it the country music capital of the world, but it's also fun, exciting, and a real hoot. It's just impossible to go to Nashville and not have a good time. Our first stop here was Lower Broadway.
Also known as the Honky Tonk Highway, you haven't really been to Nashville if you haven't walked up and down this street. Even if country music is not your style, you will fall in love with Lower Broadway's energy and groove. This is where you can find dozens of honky tonk bars, and where you will have a blast catching the country stars of tomorrow. We just loved looking at the neon signs and popping in and out of these bars until we found our vibe.
Some of the historic bars include Tootsie's Orchid Lounge, Robert's Western World, and Nudies. Or you can find great music at some of the newest ones, such as Post Malone's Posties or Lainey Wilson's Bell Bottoms Up, which was actually one of our favorites. But there are so many to choose from.
Bear in mind that it can get very rowdy on the weekends, but listening to live music in Nashville is definitely an experience you need to have in the city.
And there is even more to explore in Lower Broadway, like the Johnny Cash Museum and the iconic Nashville Legends mural that honors country music legends like Dolly Parton, Johnny Cash, and Willie Nelson.
Just round the corner from Lower Broadway is the Ryman Auditorium, one of the main stops in anyone's music pilgrimage.
Also known as the Mother Church of Country Music, the Ryman Auditorium was originally a church built by Thomas Ryman, a sea captain who lived in Nashville in the 1800s, but its fame came in 1943 when, for nearly 30 years, it was home to the Grand Ole Opry, the longest-running radio broadcast in US history.
This one-hour country music show was broadcast live from the Ryman, reaching living rooms as far as Canada. and launching the careers of country music legends like Hank Williams, Dolly Parton, and Johnny Cash. The Ryman is also credited with being the birthplace of bluegrass music, with the first performance of Bill Monroe's Bluegrass Boys in 1945.
Going on a self-guided tour or seeing a concert at the Ryman is an absolute must-do when you're in Nashville. The Auditorium still has the original pew seating intact and it's absolutely beautiful. Our next stop was the Grand Ole Opry itself, the pinnacle for every country music artist.
In 1974, the show's popularity forced it to relocate from the Ryman to a larger, more modern venue, situated about 20 minutes drive from the original auditorium. The Opry is country music's biggest stage, and watching a show there was one of the highlights of our trip.
Every show is different from the others as the lineup is always changing, featuring a mix of rising country stars and country legends gathered round a hollowed circle of timber cut from the Ryman's original stage. If you visit on a day when there are no shows, you can take a tour.
2025 marked the 100th anniversary of the Grand Ole Opry, and it's safe to say that this cultural landmark is here to stay for 100 more. Another highlight for us was the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum.
The Country Music Hall of Fame is a real must-do if you are a country music fan. It took us about 3 hours to see the exhibits, but we could have stayed there much longer as the museum is huge. Our favourite part was the permanent collection, which covers the story of country music from its roots in the 19th century through to today, and includes incredible artifacts such as costumes, instruments, personal items, records, and so much more. Also, there are always a series of temporary exhibits worth seeing. When we went, there was one on Dolly Parton and one on Lainey Wilson.
Also, make sure you don't miss the stunning rotunda with the plaques of Hall of Fame members. It's a truly majestic space. For an extra fee, you can visit the Hatch Show Print at the lower ground, a working letterpress print shop that has been making iconic posters since 1879. You can still check out the process and shop some of the famous designs. Also, make sure you don't miss the huge shop as you enter.
Across the street from the museum, we recommend checking out the Country Music Walk of Fame and also the architecture of the building itself, with lots of elements connected to music, like the vertical windows arranged like the keys of a piano. Note that for an extra fee, the Country Music Hall of Fame also runs tours of the historic RCA Studio Beale, where many artists such as Elvis Presley and Dolly Parton recorded many hits. It's totally worth it.
Another music must-do in Nashville is Printers Alley. If country music is not your cup of tea, Printers Alley is the place to be for live jazz, blues, rock and roll, and even burlesque. Printers Alley was once the hub of the city's printing industry and is now a vibrant area with famous venues like Skoll's Rainbow Room and Bourbon Street Blues and Boogie Bar. We loved it there.
And we absolutely loved Nashville. If you want to know more about non-music related stops in this awesome city, make sure you check out our full Nashville travel guide. But it was now time to drive about 3 hours to reach another incredible music city in the US, Memphis.
Memphis is a city like no other, as it offers a huge number of legendary music stops. After all, Memphis is the birthplace of rock and roll and the home of the blues, and its streets have been walked by the likes of B.B. King and Elvis Presley. What more could you want? Our first stop here was Beale Street.
Considered by many to be the heart of Memphis, Beale Street is an absolute must-do. Created in 1841 to host shops of merchants who traded along the Mississippi River, it soon became known worldwide as the home of the blues. It's here that legends like W.C. Handy, Louis Armstrong, B.B. King, and many more performed and helped develop the style that is known as the Memphis Blues.
Today, Beale Street is a vibrant entertainment district with bars, restaurants, and shops, and in the evening, its streets are filled with performers and music.
Also, when in Beale Street, don't forget to pay tribute to the statue of Elvis Presley, who came to Beale Street to soak up the blues and who also bought many of his iconic outfits from the Lansky Brothers store. When you are walking around, make sure you don't miss the historic Orpheum Theatre, opened in 1926 as a vaudeville palace and still a landmark in the area.
Another must-do stop is the Stax Museum of American Soul Music. The Stax Museum is located at the same location as the Stax recording studio once was. which recorded artists such as Otis Redding, Isaac Hayes, and Sam and Dave.
It's an incredible museum and the perfect chance to learn more about such a historic music label and soul music, but also about artists who are not signed by Stax, such as Aretha Franklin and Ike and Tina Turner.
Our personal highlights include an authentic church from the Mississippi Delta reconstructed in the museum to show the gospel roots of soul music, the Soul Train dance floor, the gold-plated 1972 Isaac Hayes Cadillac, and a near-exact recreation of the original Stax Records recording studio. It's a must-do.
But no visit to Memphis is complete without paying tribute to Elvis Presley and to the place he called home, Graceland, where he spent the final 20 years of his life.
Video recording is not permitted in many areas of the complex, but you can take as many photos as you want. We opted for the Elvis Experience ticket, which allows you access to both the Elvis Presley complex and the mansion.
We started with the Elvis Presley's Memphis complex, a state-of-the-art exhibit space over 200,000 square feet in size, and it was incredible, as it takes you from Elvis's beginnings up to the height of his fame and his final years. There are so many highlights from this, but we absolutely loved seeing the floor-to-ceiling gold records, his iconic jumpsuits and costumes, his classic collection of cars, and not one but two private jets, including the beautiful Lisa Marie, named after his daughter. We could have literally spent half a day exploring.
To enter the mansion, you board a shuttle that takes you right across the road to the actual Graceland. Before you step in, you are given a headset which is available in several languages and guides you through the property. Here, you can see the main rooms where Elvis lived, including the living room, the dining room, the kitchen, the famous jungle room, the pool room, the backyard and stables, and the beautiful meditation garden, where Elvis and his family members, including Lisa Marie, are buried. This is actually quite moving, and we found it extremely peaceful. Before leaving, you can also sign the walls of Graceland from the main road, so don't forget to bring a pen.
Graceland is an absolute must-do and the perfect way to get close and personal with a man whose legacy changed music, movies, and culture forever.
And if you want to get even closer to the king of rock and roll, you absolutely cannot miss the final stop in our music pilgrimage.
Sun Studio is known worldwide as the birthplace of rock and roll, and is where musical legends were discovered by producer Sam Phillips, and where the sound of the 1950s came alive with blues, gospel, country, and rock and roll. From B.B. King and Howlin' Wolf to Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Roy Orbison, this iconic studio shaped the music that put Memphis on the map.
For the tour, you won't be able to reserve tickets in advance, so we definitely recommend getting there in the morning for more availability. Also, you won't be able to take any video recordings when inside. Before your tour, you can wait at the beautiful shop and cafe as you enter.
The tour of the studio is an absolute highlight for any music lover, as you'll really feel the energy of these legends, many of whom were discovered here, including Elvis Presley. At the end, you'll even get to hold the very microphone that was used in many of the recordings. It was absolutely thrilling to be in the room that gave us songs such as That's All Right, Blue Suede Shoes, Walk the Line, and Great Balls of Fire. If you are in Memphis, you absolutely cannot miss this.
And we also recommend exploring everything else Memphis has to offer. We made a full travel video with all of the stops in this wonderful city you don't want to miss.
And just like that, our music road trip through Tennessee has come to an end.
We hope you enjoyed coming along with us, and if you did, be sure to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell to never miss an adventure. We are always exploring, and we cannot wait to take you with us.
And now, see you down the road!